Hello, last year I went through all of Ring's cameras and compared them all, pointing out exactly what cameras to buy for different circumstances. However, since then, Ring have retired a bunch of those cameras and also bought out loads of new ones, so I wanted to shoot this updated video which explains exactly what outdoor Ring camera is best for you. Right, where do I start? Ring don't make our lives easy because there are now 19 different outdoor cam options on their website. Would you prefer the Floodlight Cam Wired Pro Premium colours or the Floodlight Cam Plus plug-in version? And why are there 8 different spotlight cameras to choose from? Well, despite the overwhelming number of options, you mainly need to decide on just 2 things. Firstly, do you want your outdoor cam to have light? And secondly, how do you want to power your camera? If you don't want light, for example, then you can go straight to the stick-up cam range. And if you don't have a power source nearby, you'll probably want to go for the stick-up cam battery option. Simple, sort of. Or, if you want a really bright light, go with the Floodlight Cam range. Whereas if you only want sort of a little light but nothing too powerful, the Spotlight Cam range might work well. I'll dive into each camera option in more detail shortly. But the reason I say to focus on the lights and the power options is because many of the important features are exactly the same on each and every Ring camera. For example, all of Ring's cameras send a notification to your phone when they detect motion. Each of them are controllable through the app, and they all support two-way talk, which basically allows you to speak to your visitors as though your camera is an intercom. You can also watch live footage from any of your camera feeds at any time, although it's worth pointing out that you can only view old recordings if you pay for the extra Ring Protect plan. Each camera also records in Full HD 1080p, which sounds good until you realise this 2023 and many of Ring's competitors now record in 2K or even 4K. This means that if you want a professional grade security camera system, Ring won't be right for you. Despite this though, Ring are still very convenient products, and the Ring app on your phone is better than many of the competitors, in my opinion. Okay, so with all that said, what does vary between each camera? Well, there are some key differences, so let's dive into these. First up, the Ring Spotlight Cam range. This includes a small light, making it ideal as a small path or driveway light which doesn't end up blinding your neighbours. I previously called the Spotlight Cam pointless, but they are actually pretty convenient to install because you can plug them in, you can use a battery, or you can hardwire them, giving them an advantage over the Floodlight Cam range. Naturally, with the battery option, you will need to charge it up every few months, although you can buy a solar panel, which is super convenient because it'll then usually keep the battery topped up. Before I talk more about the Spotlight Cam range, I wanted to give a quick warning about the battery options on any of Ring's products. They will never be quite as good as the plug-in or hardwired Ring devices, and that's because some features on the battery variants are cut down slightly to save on battery life. For example, the motion detection and configuration options are never quite as good on a Ring battery product compared to the plugged-in or wired-in versions. This also applies to the solar panel option because you're still ultimately running in battery mode. It might be a really cloudy day after all, meaning the battery will still be draining down. With all that said though, it's great that Ring offers batteries as an option for the Spotlight and stick-up cam products because you won't always have a power source nearby. And that's really the first choice you need to make with the stick-up cam range. If you're able to plug it in or hardwire it, then it's worth doing this because the camera will have slightly better performance than the battery variant. Then you just have to choose between the Plus and the Pro model. Now there are 4 main differences here, and this also applies to the Floodlight Cam range too. So the first difference is that the Pro version has an improved speaker microphone, resulting in clearer sounds when you're speaking to a visitor through your phone. I've certainly noticed this benefit on my sort of Ring Doorbell Pro 2, compared to my old Pro 1 which didn't have this feature. Secondly, the daytime footage is HDR, high dynamic range. This causes the footage to be a little more colourful and vibrant than standard footage. It won't result in a higher recording resolution though, so things will still be blurry when you zoom in. Thirdly, the Pro contains dual band Wi-Fi. In other words, you can connect over 2.4 or 5 GHz Wi-Fi. This sounds good because 5 GHz Wi-Fi is faster than 2.4 GHz. However, the signal is often weaker with 5 GHz. Plus, you don't really need a super fast internet connection for your Ring device because it only records in 1080p. I'm not trying to be negative here though. It is nice to have dual band Wi-Fi as an option, especially if your router works better with 5 GHz. Finally, fourth benefit. The Pro version contains a radar chip which allows for much more powerful and configurable motion detection. Ring calls this 3D motion detection, and it is really nice. You can see a map of exactly where people have walked, and you can configure motion detection to specific ranges, which is nice if you get a lot of motion at the edge of the main motion zone. So what's my view on the Pro version? Is it worth paying $60 more for the Pro version? Well, meh. Naturally, it's up to you. I don't think the dual band Wi-Fi or HDR is worth it. And while the improved audio is nice, will you actually be speaking to your visitors much from some high-up outdoor camera somewhere? Probably not. Audio Plus is probably more relevant for Ring's doorbells, in my opinion. The radar feature is pretty nice though, and if you currently have a Ring camera that's constantly sending you false motion detection alerts, it will be really useful. But if not, you probably don't need to pay a third more for the Pro version. That's just my opinion though. If you disagree, please let me know why down in the comments. Next up, we have the Ring Floodlight Cam range. This contains a bright 2000 lumen light, making it ideal for really dark areas around your property. You can also dim the brightness down in the app if you prefer, which is useful. There is no battery option here though. You can either hardwire it or pay $20 more and get a plug-in adapter. Both result in the same level of performance because neither rely on a battery. You can then choose to pay $50 more for the Pro version if you'd like, which is only a quarter more than the Plus variant, making it a slightly cheaper upgrade than the Spotlight Cam range. One interesting addition here though is that the Pro range contains a premium colours option for $20 more. You can choose between graphite and dark bronze, and while they don't result in any extra features, of course, they are a lot more sleeker looking than the usual black or white options. So that's pretty much it for the Ring Floodlight Cam range. I've discussed all the other key differences like Plus versus Pro earlier on in the video. Finally, there's the stick-up cam lineup. This does not contain a light, and its mount means that you can use it indoors by placing it on a table or a shelf, or you can mount it on a wall for outdoor use. You have 4 power options here. You can use it with a battery and then with or without a solar panel to keep it charged up. You can also plug it in, or you can use a powered Ethernet adapter with the Elite range, allowing you to run a single Ethernet cable to the stick-up cam, which will provide both power and internet connectivity. This means that the Elite option is good if you're concerned about Wi-Fi jamming attacks, because all of Ring's other cameras can be temporarily disabled by Wi-Fi jammers, something that the Elite is immune from, which is nice. Finally, you can pay $40 extra for a pan tilt mount that allows you to move the camera position around via the app, meaning that you can then check on all corners of your room due to the 360-degree pan coverage. This is a pretty neat feature, and it makes the stick-up cam feel more like a conventional security system. It's useful for keeping an eye on your pets especially. So that just about wraps up the different Ring outdoor cam options. Yes, there's 19 different choices, which makes it a bit confusing, but it does kind of boil down to whether you want a light or not, and also how you want to power it. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please click the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.